Now, let's talk about...
No budget animation, yeah.
My name is Christen Bach and I'm an animation director. The reason why I wanted to make this channel is because that animation can be a very time-consuming and very tedious, and to be honest, quite frustrating process. So, a couple of years ago, I did a series of experiments to see if I could figure out a way to reduce the distance between initial idea and finished product, but still maintain like a high level of quality. And kind of try to define for myself what is important when I'm working with animation. So, you want to tell a great story. Is it about having like fluent animation? Is it about the visual style? Like, are we working in 2D, 3D? Is it about the level of detail in your pictures and your frames? Or is it about your color schemes, etc., etc.? Is it about the technical complexity? Like your render and light setups? Do you have complex rigs? Do you have large scenes with intricate camera movements? Before we go on, I just want to say, and this is very important, whatever works for me doesn't have to work for everybody. Like, everyone has their own creative process. This channel is more meant as an inspiration for people to go out and get some shit done. Animation Tag Attack was a project that came to be because that I wanted to see if a series of directors, all with full creative freedom, could tell a great coherent story. So I sat down and, based on the old like Exquisite Corpse parlor game, I wrote a set of rules. And the rules were, you get 4 weeks to continue the story. After 4 weeks, you send them to me, I cut everything together, and the next guy takes over. So, just as an example, if you're about to do episode 6, you get the first 5 episodes. You can work in your complete own style. You can take the story wherever you want to take the story. There are no restrictions. Let's say it like this. Animation Tag Attack is not a great movie, but it is a great experiment. Probably due to my setup, the entire like storytelling experiment failed. But visually, a few interesting things happened. Like, number 1. Because of the friendly competition between all the artists involved, the visual quality everyone delivered was extremely high. Second of all, there is all this talk about stealing and borrowing in art. And here we had a setup where it was totally legit. So basically, each episode is a remix of all previous episodes. People would come in and they would redesign the characters in their own style. They would pay homage to previous shots. So what we ended up with was like this 10-minute firework of just like pure creative energy. I wanted to try to do something with pixel animation. Basically because in terms of no budget, pixel animation has a lot of advantages. First of all, in 8-bit you're working with a very low resolution, which means that you don't have to pay too much attention to detail. You can work more in terms of like composition and with colors. Another thing is that things don't have to move very much to feel authentic, due to our like this weird emotional connection that we have with old computer games. So it's more about telling the story, and it's more about the timing than working with the actual animation.
Sorry about that.
Now, the crazy thing about this project is I did it actually to test a piece of software, which is this Japanese 8-bit program called GraphicsGale. I spent like 1.5 days on it. I sent it to my sound designer, Henrik. And Henrik spent half a day on it, and he sent it back to me, and we were like, this is funny, and we uploaded it to the internet. And then it got picked up by a lot of the big blogs, and like 6 months later, it was exhibited at the Guggenheim in New York as one of the 20 best art videos on YouTube. And I just remember standing there next to these amazing artists who had done like the Antwort videos and had done like crazy remixes between like hardcore rap and Disney movies. And I just felt like a fraud. I don't understand. Nevertheless, this is what happens when you actually have an output. And now is your question. Why work with no budget animation at all? I have a series of reasons why. The first one is, in order to actually get funding, you need to present some like credentials. You need to either have gone to like a fancy film school where you have a piece of paper that says he can make movies, or you need to prove to the world that you actually did something that won awards, and you know that you can put on IMDb and say, look at all the stuff that I've done. Another point is funding takes time. So your question to yourself is, or has to be, now, do I want to spend 3 months filling out papers, updating your resume, cutting a new show reel? Or do you want to spend 3 months actually doing your movie? Sometimes, of course, your project is quite complex and you have a vision and you need the money. But a lot of times, if you just want to tell a simple story, it's worth considering. Third point. It is a great way to learn how to be efficient with your medium. Which also brings me to the next point, that the restrictions that you learn from doing no budget animation is gonna help you immensely when you move from no budget into low budget into like high budget commercial work. Because it gears your brain to kind of think about the process in an optimized and intelligent way. But you know what? Let me just show you some examples. Now, as we're talking about this subject, we're not going to get around David O'Reilly. He, if anyone, has been working with optimizing his time and minimizing his work effort. Through experiments like RGB, XYZ, and Please Say Something, he has developed a very characteristic low poly visual style. It's very fast to set up, and he's working strictly with his play blasts, which means that he doesn't have to deal with render times. One of the things that I really like about David and his work is that he's very reflective about what he's doing. And it was actually after having a beer with him at some point that I sat down and started looking into my own process. Scott Benson is another great example. He started out doing his own short films. He was a very inspiring part of the animation Tag Attack. And after that, he started the Late Night Work Club, which is a pure tour de force of no-budget animation. You should totally check that out. Scott is working with a very simple illustration style in After Effects that he elegantly elevates by combining it with effects like particles and glow, etc. And this is giving a really nice texture and a really nice complexity to his work. The last project that I just want to mention is this little gem of a music video made by the always great Péter Vácz. Now, strictly speaking, it's not a no-budget project, but his approach is very much in the vein of everything that we've been talking about. The entire video is made over the course of 3 weeks by Peter himself mainly, and an occasional friend dropping by from time to time. So what is so great about this video? Well, first of all, he's working with very small controlled environments. He's using cheap materials from the local hobby store, but the way he's lighting them and the way he's shooting them, he really makes them shine. And he is a master of small, clever camera tricks. When you look at this video, you need to know that everything is done in camera, which means that there is no compositing or color grading done afterwards. So previously I was talking about these 4 points, and I think that my reduction after doing all these projects and, you know, just seeing a ton of animations and thinking about it that way, what is most important, to me at least, is character and personality. Like, all these points matter, but the most important thing is the last part. You can mix it up, you can slice it and dice it the way you want, but as long as your work has personality and character, you're in a pretty good place. Now, when you're working on your own projects, there are 2 really important rules. Rule number 1, get started. It is pretty easy to walk around and tell people how great your short film is gonna be, or to say,
I'm gonna make a YouTube channel, but no budget animation.
But there's a big step from that to actually sitting down and doing it. Which brings me to rule number 2. Finish your projects. It seems very obvious when I'm saying it, and it is maybe the most important thing, but so many projects are dying because they're way too ambitious, or because people are not planning their time, or because that, you have this idea and it's really fun to think about. But you also need to realize that it is actually, a lot of it is also hard work. So sometimes you just need to sit down and get the work done. You'll thank me later. Before we move on, I just want to touch down on one last thing, and that is your no-budget projects versus commissioned no-budget projects. Thing is, I get a lot of emails from producers, crazy people who are like, do you want to work for free? This is going to look great on your resume. Those requests are bullshit. People that are sending you those emails also need to know that no budget comes with a price. And the only reason you want to do those projects is if you think it can be a kick-ass end product, it really resonates with you, you're super enthusiastic about it, and you get full creative freedom. Because not getting paid and there's somebody standing telling you what to do and what they want, no, that's not how the world works. Rather sit down and do your own project, which you hopefully are pretty goddamn passionate about. Now, what is this series going to be about? I've been talking a lot about all kinds of old stuff and other people's work and, what to think and what not to think and what to do and what not to do. I thought that I would take you through the production of a no-budget animated short, from concept development into recording voices, making the music, the animation, putting everything together. And at the end, we're going to be sitting with maybe a shitty little short film that nobody wants to see, or it's going to be a glorious film that is going to win all the festivals and give us a glorious future in the great world of animation.
Gut.
Das ist super, oder?
Ja, das war besser.
Das kam auch direkt von hier. Wait, this is a YouTube channel. Subscribe down here, say comments, whatever. I don't care, but I'll see you people in episode 2 about concept development.